I wasted the first 50 years of my life waiting for the right moment, and that moment never came. Now, at the end of my journey, the pain isn't getting old. It's realizing how long I waited to truly live. I'm 75 years old, and I'm about to tell you something that might make you uncomfortable. Everything you think you know about getting older is wrong. And the hardest part is this. The people who should have told you the truth, your parents, your teachers, society itself, either didn't know it or were too afraid to question it. I know this because I believed the same things for most of my life. For the first 50 years, I thought I had everything figured out. I had the career. I had the house. I had the respect of my colleagues. From the outside, my life looked successful. But at 54, something happened that shattered everything I thought I knew. I was sitting in a meeting, talking about deadlines, projections, numbers that felt incredibly important at the time. Suddenly, the room started spinning. My chest tightened, and then everything went dark. The next thing I remember is waking up in a hospital bed, tubes in my arms, machines beeping softly around me, and my wife sitting in the corner, trying not to cry. The doctor looked at me and said, "You were lucky. You had a cardiac event." Lucky. That word stayed with me, because lying there, unable to move, unable to distract myself, I realized something terrifying. I had been living my entire life on autopilot. I wasn't really alive. I was just going through the motions, checking boxes, meeting expectations that weren't even mine. And one question kept repeating in my mind: if I had died that day, what would I have left behind? A comfortable house, a savings account, a list of achievements that would slowly be forgotten. Let me tell you the biggest lie most people are telling themselves right now. I have time. I'll do it later. When things slow down. When I make more money. When life becomes easier. I see people in their 20s, 30s, even 40s saying the same thing. When I get that promotion, then I'll relax. When the kids grow up, then I'll enjoy life. When I retire, then I'll finally do what I love. Let me save you decades of regret with one simple truth. That moment never comes. Because the goalposts keep moving. You reach one goal, and suddenly there's another. You earn more, and now you need more. You're always chasing something just out of reach. I spent 30 years climbing a ladder, only to realize, when I finally reached the top, it was leaning against the wrong wall. And here's the painful part. You can't climb back down and start over. Time doesn't work that way. Here's something no one tells you when you're young. Success is a terrible life goal. I say this as someone who achieved everything he set out to achieve. I reached the milestones. I earned the respect. And the happiness lasted a few days at best. Then it faded, and I needed another goal, another achievement, another reason to feel valuable. It becomes a cycle that never ends. I had a close friend who died at 69. He worked nonstop his entire life, built a successful business, kept saying he'd slow down next year. Next year came as a stroke. At his funeral, his son stood up and said, "My father was a successful man, but I barely knew him." That sentence still echoes in my mind. Your biggest regrets won't be about the things you failed at. They'll be about the things you never did. I don't lose sleep over failed projects. I lose sleep over the trips I postponed, the relationships I neglected, the book I always wanted to write but never started, the evenings I missed with my children because I was too busy. We live like time is unlimited. It isn't that my father died suddenly when I was in my mid-40s. We had a complicated relationship. I always thought we'd fix things later. Later never came. My biggest regret isn't something dramatic. It's all the calls I didn't make, all the visits I postponed, all the small moments I assumed would always be there. After my heart attack, I changed how I lived. I stepped back from work. I started saying no to things that didn't matter, and yes to things I had delayed for decades. In these last 21 years, I've learned more about life than I did in the first 54. What truly matters is surprisingly simple. Time with the people you love. Work that feels meaningful to you. Experiences, not possessions. Being present, not busy. I know it sounds obvious. I would have ignored this advice once too. So let me ask you one honest question. If you died tomorrow, would you be satisfied with the life you've lived so far? Not impressed, not admired, satisfied. If the answer is no, what exactly are you waiting for? I'm 75 years old now. Every morning, I know I'm living on borrowed time. We all are. Most people just don't realize it yet. I look at my grandchildren and see the same stress, the same chasing, the same pressure I once felt. They think their situation is different. I did too. That's why I'm telling you this. If I could speak to my younger self, here's what I would say. Stop trying to impress people who don't matter. Stop sacrificing your health for your career. Stop postponing joy. Call your parents more often. Take the trips you dream about. Say what you feel. Do the things that scare you. And most importantly, start now. Not next year. Not after the next milestone. Now. Because life will never be perfectly ready for you. If you keep waiting, you'll wake up one day realizing you waited your entire life away. I don't know how much time I have left. Maybe 10 years. Maybe a little more if I'm lucky. And I'm okay with that. Because these last years, lived intentionally, have been the richest of my life. That's the irony. When you understand that time is limited, you finally start living. So don't ask yourself what you'll do someday. Ask yourself this. What will you do today? Because someday is today.